Hello everyone. In this session we will start with the chapter 2 of module 3, that is downlink transport channel processing. As you have studied in the last chapter, the LTE radio interface is designed based on a layered protocol stack. Basically it is composed of 5 layers, namely radio resource control RRC, then packet data convergence protocol PDCP, then radio link control RLC, medium access control MAC, and finally the physical layer. So here we are discussing the physical layer processing on downlink transport channel. So as you know, physical layer is the layer 1 or first layer of the OSI reference model. So in this chapter we will discuss on the physical layer processing on downlink transport channel. Okay, these are the topics. First topic is downlink transport channel processing overview. This contains common processes like channel coding and modulation processing for different channel types, etc. And the second topic, it is downlink shared channels. In this we will discuss channel coding and modulation of downlink shared channel, and then about the supported MIMO transmission or multiple antenna techniques in physical downlink shared channel. And then next topic is on downlink control channels. Here we will discuss about the downlink control information formats and channel mapping for control information in the downlink. Then we have broadcast channels and multicast channels, and next is the downlink physical channels. Here we will see the structure and processing of downlink physical signals, including downlink reference signals and synchronization signals. And the last topic, that is HARQ on downlink. In this we will see how hybrid automatic repeat request protocols with soft combining can be used to improve the transmission reliability. And for this chapter, textbook is Fundamentals of LTE, authored by Arnab Ghosh, and section number 7.1 to 7.7. Okay, first let us start with the introduction part. Data and control streams coming from the medium access control layer are organized in the form of transport blocks. This transport block is the payload for the physical channel. Each transport block is a group of resource blocks with a common modulation and coding scheme. This physical layer processing, it mainly consists of two processes, coding and modulation. This coding and modulation, it is used to map each transport block to specific physical time frequency resources. The downlink physical layer processing, it mainly consists of two processes, channel coding process and modulation process. In the channel coding process, it involves mapping the incoming transport blocks from the MAC layer into different code words, and modulation generates complex valued OFDM baseband signals for each antenna ports, and these are then up converted to the required carrier frequency. Okay, this block diagram, it represents various operations or processes that are carried out in the physical layer of LTE system. So input to the system is transport blocks. We will get this from the upper MAC layer, and output of this system, it is given to the antenna for transmission. So two important processing, namely channel coding processing and modulation processing, are represented in terms of block diagram. In channel coding processing, there are 5 important steps: CRC addition, then code block segmentation, channel coding, rate matching, and code block concatenation. output of this channel coding processing stage is a code word, and in the modulation processing this code word is converted into OFDM signal. So, various steps are carried out here: scrambling, modulation mapper, then layer mapping, then pre-coding, resource mapping, and finally representing in terms of OFDM signal. So, in today's session we will discuss all these steps in detail. We are restricting our discussion only to the downlink transport channel processing, and in the next session we will discuss the second topic of this chapter. Okay, as we have seen in the previous block diagram representation, channel coding processing it consists of 5 important steps. Those procedure or steps are listed out here, starting from CRC addition up to code block concatenation. That means this channel coding for the downlink, it is a combination of error detection, error correction, rate matching, interleaving, etc. So, basically this channel coding, it provides an error control mechanism for data transmission, because here we are using forward error correction code as well as CRCs used for error detection. That is CRC, cyclic redundancy check bits, are used for error detection, and in some transport channels such as in the shared channel, the error control mechanism, it is coupled with the ARQ protocol. That means retransmission mechanism and error control mechanisms are coupled. Therefore, it is called as hybrid ARQ protocol. So, this combined error control and retransmission mechanism, it improves the link reliability. This block diagram it shows the downlink channel coding processing. So, the whatever processing steps we have listed out in the previous slide, same thing it is represented in terms of block diagram here for better understanding. The CRC addition is the first step in the channel coding processing. This cyclic redundancy check bit is used to provide error detection on the transport block. It generates parity bits by cyclic generator polynomials, and these parity bits are then added at the end of the transport block. Same thing is represented in the block diagram. At the end of the transport block, parity check bits are added. The 24-bit CRC is added to the each transport block for the downlink shared channel. Code block segmentation is the second step in the channel coding processing. The transport block is divided into smaller size code blocks in LTE. For turbo encoder, there is a minimum and maximum size limit with respect to transport block size. The minimum limit is 40 bits and maximum limit is 6144 bits. If the transport block size with CRC attachment, which is represented as B here, so if the transport block size with CRC attachment is less than 40 bit, then we need to pad additional zeros so that length becomes 40. And if the transport block size exceeds 6144 bits, if it is more than the upper limit, then we need to segment it into smaller code blocks. So, this code block segmentation is an operation that is performed if the number of bits in the sequence after CRC attachment is larger than the maximum code block size of the encoder, Z equal to 6144 bits. So, if it is between 40 and 6144 bits, if the size is in that range, then code block segmentation is not required. Only if the size is more than 6144 bits, then only code block segmentation is required. So, this code block segmentation, it breaks the long sequence into C number of blocks and adds 24-bit CRC sequence to each block. So, first it divides the long sequence into C number of blocks, and 24-bit cyclic redundancy check bits are added to each block. C equal to 1 if B less than or equal to Z, where Z is the upper limit 6144 bits and B is the transport block size with CRC. So, if transport block size with CRC, if B is less than or equal to Z, that means it is within the limit, then no segmentation is required. Therefore, C equal to 1. But if transport block size is more than Z, that means if it exceeds the limit, then total number of code blocks after segmentation is C equal to B divided by Z minus L. So, here L represents the number of CRC parity bits and Z is the upper limit, that means 6144 bits, and B is the total number of bits in the transport block. Then if B is less than 40, that means if it is less than the minimum size, then filler bits are added to the beginning of the incoming code block, so that length will be 40 bits. This channel coding is the third step in the channel coding processing. So, this channel coding is used to increase the transmission reliability by using forward error correction codes. Convolutional coding methods are widely used in channel coding. So, in LTE, the channel encoders separate to transport channels include tail biting convolutional coding and convolutional turbo coding. So, this selection of coding and code rate, it depends on the type of the transport channel. As you can see in the table, for downlink shared channel, paging channel and multicast channel, turbo coding with code rate of 1/3 is used, and for broadcast channel, tail biting convolutional coding with a code rate of 1/3 is used. Okay, next for control information, other channel coding scheme are also supported. As you can see in the table here, we can use 3 different types of coding technique for control information. For DCI, that means downlink control information, we use tail biting convolutional coding with code rate of 1/3, and for control format indicator, block coding technique is used, and here code rate is 1/16, and for hybrid automatic repeat request indicator or HARQ indicator, repetition coding with code rate of 1/3 is used. As I told previously, 2 modified versions of convolutional coding is used in channel coding. They are called tail biting convolutional coding and convolution turbo coding. Next, let us discuss about these coding techniques and let us see the encoder diagram. And here this figure, it represents the convolutional encoder used in LTE with a code rate of 1/3. As you can see here, we have one input stream is represented as CK and 3 outputs. So, code rate of this encoder is 1/3, and there are 6 memory units, and constraint length will be 6 plus 1. So, 7 is the constraint length. And next you can write impulse response for each of the output here. So, for the first output, impulse response is input is connected to the modulo 2 encoder, therefore, it is 1. Next, output of the first memory unit, it is not connected, therefore, it is 0. Next, output of the second memory is connected, therefore, it is 1, then again 1, then 0, 1, 1. Therefore, impulse response in binary is 1 0 1 1 0 1 1. Next, convert this into octal form and we can represent it as 133 in octal. Therefore, G0 equal to 133. Next, similarly, we can write impulse response for the second output as G1 equal to in binary it is 1 1 1 1 0 0 1, or in the octal form it is 171. And similarly for the third output, we can write in binary 1 1 1 0 1 0 1, and in the octal form it is 165. So here rate 1 by 3 encoder is considered, and constraint length of this encoder is 7. Okay, in this convolutional coding method, we need to use trellis termination. This trellis termination, it ensures that end state and start state or initial state of the encoder are same. So this trellis termination must be performed at the end of each code block in order to restore the state of the encoder to the initial state for the next code block. If the initial and final states of the encoder are known, if it is available, then we can achieve lower block error rate using Viterbi algorithm. So this gives lower block error rate during decoding process. There are two most common approaches for this trellis termination. They are called padding method and tail biting method. In the padding method, the end of the code block is padded with zeros. So this number of padded bit, it depends on the size of the encoder. Therefore, the encoder starts from all zero state for each data block and also ends in the all zero state. In our example, we have considered 6 memory units. Therefore, 6 zeros are padded to terminate the trellis. But drawback of this zero padding is that additional bandwidth is wasted due to the extra zeros that are added. To overcome this, we can use tail biting method. In the tail biting method, the information bits from the end of each code block are appended to the beginning of the next code block. So once these appended bits are passed through the encoder, it ensures that both start and end states of the encoder are same. For example, if the input bit sequence is C0, C1 up to Ck minus 1, then the initial value of the shift register will be set to Ck minus 1, Ck minus 2, Ck minus 3 up to Ck minus 6. So the initial and final states of the shift register are the same. The parity bits generated from these added bits in the beginning of the code block are discarded and not used for the transmission. So because of this, using this tail biting method, there is no code rate loss, whereas in the zero padding there is a code rate loss because of the additional zeros. Next, let us discuss about convolutional turbo coding. So this convolutional turbo coding is a parallel concatenated convolutional code with two 8-state constituent encoders and one turbo code internal interleaver with a coding rate of 1 by 3. So for the convolutional turbo coding method also, code rate is 1 by 3. There are two identical 8-state constituent encoders. So encoders are identical. 8 different states are possible in each encoder. That means there are 3 memory units and they are connected in parallel. Also there is one turbo code internal interleaver. The encoder used for the turbo code is systematic. So here systematic coding method is used. Also there is a feed forward and feedback connection, and it is recursive in nature. LT employs a new contention free internal interleaver based on quadrature permutation polynomial. So here input data stream, it is directly applied to the first encoder, whereas before applying to the second encoder, data bits are interleaved using QPP interleaver, and this QPP interleaver, it reduces the encoder decoder complexity. Okay, this diagram, it shows the structure of rate 1 by 3 turbo encoder. There is only one input and we have 3 outputs here. So rate is 1 by 3. There are 2 identical encoders, as you can see here. Each encoder has 3 memory unit and 8 possible states. and input is directly applied to the first encoder, and for the second encoder it is applied after interleaving. And as you can see here, xk it represents the systematic k bit data stream, and zk and zk dash it represents two parity bit streams of length k bit. And here the transfer function of this encoder can be written by considering the generator polynomial. Consider the first encoder here, and here g naught d equal to 1 plus d square plus d cube. This represents the feedback connection, 1 d square plus d cube, or 1 0 1 1. Next, g1 of t equal to 1 plus d cube, or it is 1 1 0 1. This is for feed forward connection. G naught d it represents the polynomial for feedback connection, and g1 of t it represents for feed forward connection. And then we can write transfer function as g of t equal to, it is systematic encoder, therefore 1 comma g1 of t divided by g naught of d. So, this represents the transfer function. And in this turbo coding also trellis termination is required. So, this dotted line it represents the connection for trellis termination. So, here we have to see that initial and end state are all 0 state. For that, what we have to do is disconnect both the encoder from the input and connect feedback connection as input to the first modulo 2 adder. That means, for the first modulo 2 adder both the inputs are feedback connection. Then what happens is feedback bit it is added with itself. So, there are 3 memory units, therefore, after 4 shifts the encoder state will be reset to all 0. So, this is how trellis termination is achieved in this rate 1/3 turbo encoder. Next, the turbo encoder needs to be terminated at the end of each code block. So, similar to the convolutional code, here also trellis termination is required. As I told previously, there is a feedback connection and feed forward connection. Therefore, encoder is recursive in nature. Because of this recursive nature of the encoder, the termination is performed by taking the recursive bit, that means a feedback bit, and performing a modulo 2 addition with itself. So, that means for the first modulo 2 adder, both the input bits will be feedback bit or recursive bit. So, because of this, after 4 shifts the encoder state will be reset to 0, that means it will be all 0 state. For each k bit input code block, the output of the turbo encoder consists of 3 k bit data streams. So, one systematic bit stream and 2 parity bit streams are generated. So, xk it represents systematic bit stream, and zk and zk dash it represents parity bit streams. Then 12 tail bits are added due to trellis termination. Therefore, each bit stream has k plus 4 bits. Therefore, the actual coding rate is slightly lower than 1/3. So, input data size is k bit. As I told previously, because of this trellis termination, 4 additional bits are added to each data stream. Therefore, the actual coding rate it is lower than 1/3. Okay, after channel coding, the next step in the channel coding processing is rate matching. The basic function of rate matching module is to match the number of bits in transport block to the number of bits that can be transmitted in the given allocation. So, basically payload size is determined by the modulation scheme and the number of resource blocks allocated. So, this rate matching is used to generate a transport block which can be transmitted using the allocated resource block and modulation scheme. This rate matching it is defined per coded block and consists of the following stages. So, there are 3 steps or stages in the rate matching. They are interleaving, bit collection and bit selection. Okay, this shows the rate matching process in terms of block diagram. Output of the channel encoder is a coded block. We have systematic stream, parity stream 1 and parity stream 2. We have represented it as xk, zk and zk dash. Then there are 3 steps in this rate matching process: sub-block interleaving, bit collection and bit selection. So this interleaving is performed separately for systematic stream, parity stream 1 and parity stream 2. Once bits are interleaved, then there is a bit collection stage. So in the bit collection stage, the systematic bits are placed at the beginning, and it is followed by bit interlacing of the 2 interleaved parity streams. As you can see here, from this parity stream 1 interleaved value, first bit is placed here. It is followed by bit from the second parity stream, then again bit from the first parity stream, then bit from the second parity stream, so on. That means there is a interlacing of the 2 interleaved parity streams, and after this we have bit selection stage. So this bit selection stage, it is required to create the required payload. First step is interleaving. It is performed at sub block level in order to spread out the occurrence of burst errors across the code block. So if there is a large number of burst errors, then we can spread out those errors across the code block using interleaving method, and this increases the transmission reliability. Okay, the second step is bit collection. As I told previously, interleaving operation is performed separately for systematic bit and the parity bit. Therefore, bit collection stage is required to place the systematic and parity bits in the right order. So here systematic bits are placed at the beginning, followed by bit by bit interlacing of the 2 interleaved parity streams. Because of this interlacing, equal number of parity 1 and parity 2 bits are transmitted. Then the next step is bit selection. In the bit selection stage, to select the output bit sequence, the sequence length capital L is first determined, and this sequence length, it depends on the number of allocated resource blocks, the modulation scheme and the MIMO mode. Then L number of bits are read from the virtual circular buffer. So the bit selection extracts consecutive bits from the circular buffer to the extent that fits into the assigned physical resource. The last step in the channel coding process is code block concatenation, and this code block concatenation is required only for turbo coding when the number of code blocks is larger than 1. If only one code block is present, then directly apply that sequence or pass that sequence to the next stage, modulation processing. Otherwise, if there are multiple code blocks, then sequential concatenation is required. So this step, code block concatenation, it consists of sequentially concatenating the rate matching outputs for different code blocks. So using this concatenation method, we can form the code word input to the modulation processing. So if there is only one code block present, this code block concatenation is not required. We can directly pass output of the rate matching process to the modulation processing. Okay, so far we have discussed about channel coding processing. Next step in the downlink physical layer processing is modulation processing. So this modulation takes in 1 or 2 code words depending on whether spatial multiplexing is used, and converts them to complex valued OFDM baseband signals for each antenna port. So here in this modulation processing, input is taken from the code block concatenation and output is applied to the antenna port, and various operations are performed in this modulation processing. The modulation processing consists of scrambling, modulation mapping, layer mapping and precoding, resource mapping, and OFDM signal generation. Okay, this scrambling is the first step in the modulation processing. Before modulation mapping, the code word is scrambled by a bit level scrambling sequence. The block of bits for code word Q is denoted as BQ of 0, BQ of 1, so on up to BQ of MQ minus 1. So here MQ of Q, it represents total number of bits transmitted in one subframe. So it gives the length of the code word Q. The scrambling sequence CQ is a pseudo random sequence, and it is defined by a length 31 gold sequence. So these scrambled bits are generated using a modulo 2 addition. So equation is given here. So here it is represented as sum of modulo 2 sum of pseudo random sequence bit with the code word bit. Up to 2 code word can be transmitted in the same subframe. So if spatial multiplexing is not used, then Q is 0. If spatial multiplexing is used, then Q equal to 0, 1. Okay, the next step is modulation mapping. Please make a correction here. We have considered the length of block of scrambled bit as MQ of Q. It should be MBQ, where B represents the bit. For each code word Q, the block of scrambled bits are modulated into a block of complex valued modulation symbols. So here scrambled bits are mapped into complex valued modulation symbols. So DQ of 0, DQ of 1 up to DQ of MSQ minus 1, it represents complex valued modulation symbols. Here MSQ is the number of modulation symbols in each code word, and it depends on the modulation scheme. The relation between MSQ and MBQ is MSQ equal to MBQ divided by QM. So this QM, it represents number of bits in the modulation scheme. For example, in QPSK there are two bits in each symbol, therefore QM is 2. For 16 array QAM, QM is 4, and for 16 array QAM, QM equal to 6. So QM, it depends on modulation scheme. The supported data modulation scheme in LTE includes QPSK, 16 array QAM and 64 array QAM, and in physical hybrid ARQ indicator channel, PHI-CH physical channel, BPSK modulation is also used. Next, different physical channels employ different modulation. As you can see in the table, depending on the physical channel, we use different modulation scheme. In PDSCH, physical downlink shared channel, and in PMCH, physical multicast channel. In these two physical channels, QPSK, 16 QM and 64 QM modulation scheme can be used. And in the physical broadcast channel, PBCH, and physical downlink control format indicator channel, PCF-ICH, and in the physical downlink control channel, PDCCH, only QPSK is supported, and in physical hybrid ARQ indicator channel, PHI-CH, only BPSK is used. Okay, next step is layer mapping and precoding. Both layer mapping and precoding are associated with multiple input, multiple output, or MIMO. So this block diagram it shows both layer mapping and precoding steps. Output of the modulation mapper is applied as input here. So these two steps, layer mapping and precoding steps, map the incoming code words to up to 4 transmit antennas. The layer mapper, that means first stage, it maps NC code words to V number of spatial layers. Then in the second step, precoder, it maps these V layers to P antenna ports, where P greater than or equal to V. Okay, layer mapping is the process where each code word is mapped to one or multiple layers. So in MIMO transmission, we use few terminologies like code word, layer, antenna port, etc. A code word is defined as the output of each channel coding stage associated with a single transport block coming from the MAC layer. So the output of each channel coding stage or rate matching stage associated with a single transport block coming from the MAC layer. So, this is called as a code word. In LTE, up to 4 transmit receive antennas are supported, but the number of code words is limited to only 2. So, this is to limit the uplink feedback overhead. A layer corresponds to a data stream of the spatial multiplexing channel. Each code word it is mapped into one or multiple layers. Therefore, the number of layers it is at least as many as the number of code words, or V is greater than or equal to NC. Number of layer is greater than or equal to number of code words. Okay, pre-coding is a process where the layer data are allocated to multiple antenna ports. So, layer data are mapped to P number of multiple antenna ports. An antenna port is defined by its associated reference signal, and it is a logical entity and may not correspond to an actual physical antenna. The number of transmit antenna ports at the E node B is sent to user equipments through the physical broadcast channel. This can be 1, 2 or 4 in LTE. These antenna ports are divided into 3 groups. Antenna port 0 to 3 it is a cell specific which are used for downlink MIMO transmission. So, first group antenna ports 0 to 3 it is cell specific and used for downlink MIMO transmission. The second group antenna port 4 is multicast broadcast single frequency network specific and is used for MBSFN transmission. And the last group antenna port 5 it is user equipment specific, which is used for beam forming to a single user equipment using all physical antennas. And here cell specific ports and the user equipment specific ports cannot be simultaneously used. Layer mapping is different for different MIMO modes. In single antenna port case, it is straightforward. One code word is mapped to a single layer, and in transmit diversity, one code word is mapped to 2 or 4 layers. So, it is an open loop MIMO mode. And in the spatial multiplexing, NC code words are mapped to V number of layers. So, details are given here. As you can see here, number of layers 1. So, code word 0 is mapped to layer 0. When number of layer is 2, then code word 0 is mapped to layer 0 and code word 1 is mapped to layer 1. One more possibility is code word 0 is mapped to layer 0 and layer 1. Then similarly, when there are 3 layers available, code word 0 is mapped to layer 0 and code word 1 is mapped to layer 1 and 2. And when 4 layers are available, code word 0 is mapped to layer 0 and 1 and code word 1 is mapped to layer 2 and 3. So, here both open loop and closed loop spatial multiplexing modes are supported. The precoder is either fixed or selected from a predefined code book based on the feedback from user equipments. The general form for precoding is y of I equal to w of I into x of I. So, basically precoder it takes a block of vectors x of I as input and generates a block of vectors y of I as output. So, here x of I it represents data which is mapped onto layers, and w of I is a precoding matrix of size p into v, where p represents total number of antenna ports and v represents total number of layers. Then different physical channels support different MIMO modes, and this is given in this table. So, for PDSCH physical channel, single antenna port, open loop transmit diversity and spatial multiplexing is supported. And for PDCCH and PBCH, single antenna port and open loop transmit diversity are supported. But for multicast channel PMCH, only single antenna port is supported. For PHICH and PCFICH, for these two channels, both single antenna port and open loop transmit diversity are supported. Okay, next is resource mapping or resource allocation. The resource block mapping takes the modulation symbols to be transmitted on each antenna port and maps them to the set of available resource elements. So, here resource element is the smallest time frequency unit in a resource grid. So, the block of complex valued symbols are mapped to resource blocks assigned for the transmission. So, we have represented those complex valued symbols as YPF0, YPF1 up to YPF ms minus 1. So, these complex valued are mapped to resource blocks starting with YPF0. So, they are mapped in sequence. Okay, after resource mapping, the next operation in modulation processing is OFDM baseband signal generation. So, here the OFDM signal is generated using IFFT digital signal processing, and then cyclic prefix is added. There are two types of cyclic prefix: normal cyclic prefix and extended cyclic prefix. The cyclic prefix length it depends on the cyclic prefix type and the subcarrier spacing. If you consider normal cyclic prefix, in that for a subcarrier spacing of 15 kilohertz, cyclic prefix length is 144 bit or 160 bit, and in extended cyclic prefix for a subcarrier spacing of 15 kilohertz, cyclic prefix length is 512 bit, and for 7.5 kilohertz subcarrier spacing, cyclic prefix length will be 1024. After this cyclic prefix addition, using parallel to serial converter, parallel data is serialized and then it is transmitted using transmit antennas. And at the receiver section, FFT processing can be used to convert the time domain signal back to the frequency domain. The implementation of the OFDM transceiver using IFFT and FFT is a major advantage of OFDM transmission because it reduces the computational complexity and efficiency is increased. So, in today's session we have discussed about channel coding processing and modulation processing. The remaining topics of this chapter we will discuss in the next session. Thank you.